welcome, Kieran. So please join me in welcoming Kieran. Yes, so
Hello.
good to have you.
Good to have you too. How are you?
I am really good, Kieran. Really, really good. First of all, thank you so much for being here. And I
Oh, you're most
really mean
welcome.
that because I know you are busy. Uh, so yeah, I really, really, really value your time. Thank you for being here.
Have time for you, Gagan.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So I want to just ask you, first of all, introduce yourself to everyone. What do you
Okay.
do? Who are you?
Okay, I'm Kieran. I am a social media advertiser. So I advertise for small businesses and I also work full time as a project manager. So I have two full-time roles, which I'm balancing very nicely. I don't think I would have done that if I didn't know what I know today. But yes, anything is possible. But that is who I am.
I love that. And the reason I really wanted to invite you because I think so many people will relate to you today because so many people have done courses, they've done things, and they can't understand what is holding them back in life. And when you go through certain transformation, like people just connect to you. And I think that is what I really wanted to invite you and ask you certain questions. So I want to ask you certain things. So tell me one thing, Karen, that um, where were you in life when you came across this material, when you came across me? What point you were in your life? Emotionally, probably, where were you?
Say one word, I was stuck. I was stuck in repetition of constantly trying new things and not getting very far. So I'd start something new and then not really know what to do next and then drop it. Start something new and not know what to do with the next and drop it. And it was constant. So I was just repeating patterns, working really hard, constantly thinking about what I want to change. So, dreaming about this life I really want, but not knowing how to get there. I um I did believe things could be different. I think I had this big belief within me that things can be different, but I didn't know how to get there. I felt very overwhelmed. And just, mentally, emotionally, there's lots of things going on in our life. We juggle our careers with our private lives, personal lives, lots of things. And I was just carrying a lot of stress. So I think when I came to you, I was at this point where I was just like, I need to make a change. I need to make a difference. I don't know how to. So I think I just, yeah, just something you said at a talk we were at once, and it just resonated. And I thought, you know what? That's that's who I want to be. I want to be certain about how I want to get to where I need to get to.
And what was, you made that decision that day. And I know you said you had something like from within yourself telling that, that life is available to you. You
Mm.
wanted something, but, and you were trying from so many years, probably months, years, I do not know. But what was that made you decide that enough is enough? I've had enough of this.
I had started a new business and but I was trying to get my business to a place where I could leave my full-time job. I'm almost there. I'm not far. I'm almost very close. It's unreal how close I am. But I did not know what I was doing. Like I needed help. I think this is exactly what it was is I needed help to know what it is that's blocking me from taking these big steps and doing something else. Like what was not letting me move forward. So when I spoke to you, I explained where I was coming from, and you just asked me one question: Do you want to make a difference? I think I said yes, and that was it. That was enough.
And what was your journey like when you were doing this? You were applying this material, and like, what was your journey like then?
Oh, it was it was a whole new level of understanding. Um, it was learning my mindset, understanding what's at play every single day. Like when I wake up in the morning, what am I waking up for? What am I going to do in the day? You know, um, I started paying attention to little things. We there's lots of work we do, and through the work, it's built of awareness, mindfulness. Oh my God, how mindful I am now of being in my paradigm. Like your paradigm never switches off. There's no off button with a paradigm, right? You just have to recognize where it's kicking in and recognize where it's not serving you in that moment because it's there. It's with you all the life. So I think what kept me going was staying consistent in the exercises, learning everything, processing everything, doing all the tasks. I mean, there's a lot of homework to do, but all the homework is respect, introspective, right? To kind of look at what's going on in your life. What are you not doing? Because we can blame everyone else, but we never look to ourselves. What are we not doing? So I started writing, journaling, doing all the different things I need to do, meditating, big part of my life now, where I can really focus and find some clarity. So these are all the things that I've learned and did during the time.
Can I ask you one thing? You said, and I think many people will connect to this because, and it will help many people. You said you did a lot of work before you did this. You probably knew it on a conscious level, on an informational level. But why was it that you were not able to apply it in your life before?
Because I don't think I was going into the subconscious level of understanding it. So I wasn't going into okay, I know this, but where is it coming from? You break it down into bite-sized pieces, and then Bob did amazing trying to break it down for how our mind works because nobody teaches you how our mind works. Nobody teaches you what the subconscious is doing. We're just working on our conscious day to day. We wake up, brush our teeth, have our breakfast, get into the car, go to work, do work, come back home. There's so much else at play,
Yeah.
which is what I learned through this. What else is at play? Why am I saying what I'm saying? Why do I feel the way I feel? Sometimes you feel something before you even say it, and you're like, hold on, why did that happen? So it's catching myself, which helped. So previously, all the different things I've done, they teach you, yes, they teach you about all these different things. They go into the subconscious, but no one shows you how to get into the subconscious. No one tells you what it is that needs to be done. No one tells you how constant, state repetition is the most important thing. You have to believe it day in, day out. You have to breathe it, live it, be it, and then you are it. If you don't have that, then you're not doing the right work.
And what would you say made it easier? I know Bob's work, of course. Would you say accountability of other people who are doing the work helped
Oh,
you?
I could not do this without the people around me. I mean, the network, and honestly, I don't think I've ever said thank you to you, but we've made good friends in the space of the work we do because we all hold each other accountable. We all help each other because it's not a journey for yourself. Yes, we're born into this world alone, but we're traveling with many people. And sometimes you find the right herd, the right pack. That's the pack that travels you with you, takes you to the next level. So the accountability, big time. If you don't have someone watching you, if the dentist was not there, you know, to extract all the cavities to know that your teeth are not going the way they're going, you would not brush your teeth. Why would you? Why would we do these things? Why would we have oral hygiene? You have to be accountable to every single thing in life, and it's right down to yourself.
And I love what you said. Support doesn't mean you're weak.
No.
Because that is the perception people have. Oh my gosh, there's nothing wrong with you. But yeah, we do need help of others. Look at the athletes and like Ronaldo, I always say, for an example, he's got the coach. He's the best footballer in the world, but he's got a coach. Why? Because he can't raise his level of awareness to his coach's level of awareness. Right? His coach might not be the best footballer, but he's a good coach. He's a really good coach to make sure that Ronaldo taps into that potential. And I think that's what, Kieran, you knew it all, but you could not tap into that potential. Like you said, I did not know how to. Today, you know how to. So, what has changed in your life now that you know how to?
That's changed. Now I catch everything. Now, um, now I just believe that everything is possible. And it sounds unreal. And I know it's one of those things people say, once you do this, yes, everything's possible. But no, it's now I know I can make it possible. I know what to do to make it possible. And I know if I need to seek help, where to seek help, what I need to do for the next level. You know, life's, you have to keep leveling up, right? And this is what this whole program showed me is I have to level up. And it's not that we dream something's going to happen and it happens. It's we know where we need to get to, and these are the steps we need to take. This is how we do it. And that's what I now know. So what I could say that, you know, to the version of me that believed nothing could happen, I now believe change is possible because it is.
Yeah.
Change is so possible, and I have changed. I've changed. My business has changed the way I perform. The things I do day to day have changed. The way I wake up and look at life, the way I go to bed, how I go to bed, you know, the way I look at myself in the mirror and I say, I'm the most amazing person I know because I am the most amazing person. Nobody else can be that person for me. So, yeah, that is where I am
I
with
love
all
that.
of this.
I really love that. And tell me one thing about fear, because I know when I started working with you, I remember you had a lot of fear in you, right? Fear, if it's going to work, it's not going to work. Will I be able to leave my job? Will I not be able to leave my job? You know, like, will it ever happen? And, you were stuck in this cycle of fear. And I know there was a lot of fear of, was it fear of judgment? Was it fear of failure? I think it was one of them.
Fear of failure was the biggest one.
Yeah, I
Fear of
remember.
failure, because
Yeah.
I'd started so many things, you know, and not got through with them or felt like I'd failed. But when I did the work, I realized it wasn't fear of failure. It was just me not being committed. I wasn't committing to what I needed to do. So, but we talk about paradigms, right? And fear is a paradigm. And it's something I don't think I can ever just wake up and it's gone. I don't think it's going to go away. I still have this fear. But now I operate at a level where I recognize the fear. I recognize why I'm feeling fearful. And then I'm recognizing what I need to do instead of just sitting there in fight or flight or fright or whichever it is I need to be in. I'm now moving forward, regardless of the fear. So yes, there's fear. And I think going back to videos, and you said you were making videos, I remember because I'm also a coach, but I parked that because I remember we did some work and you said you're doing a lot of things, you need to know which ones you're doing. But when I was trying to embark on my coaching journey, I hadn't made a video. I hadn't actually introduced myself to anyone. And you said to me, Kieran, what are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you going to get people to work with you if you cannot even create a video of yourself? And I remember I did, and I got such positive feedback from absolute people who didn't know me, said, wow, we resonate with what you said. And it all just came from the heart, but it was so much fear to do that. But when I did that, it was so liberating. I mean, coming on a call like this is not something I would do very often. And you know this. I wouldn't normally do this, but I'm now I'm now a different person to who I was before. I'm
And I
now
think
in this space of I can do anything.
And I think that is one thing I felt when Bob said you will need a telescope to see how far you've come. And that is something I feel everyone who goes through this journey, they feel like they really need a telescope to see how far they've come. I'm so, so proud of you, Kiran. Kiran, I've got one question for you. If
Sure.
you could speak to the version of you who was probably where other people are who are watching you, the version of you who had doubts, the version of you who was afraid to move forward, to make that decision, the version of you who did not know if she could trust herself or actually if change was possible, because many people think, oh, maybe it's possible for them, not for me. And they get stuck in fear and, they let their past, because you had a lot of baggage, like we all do, right? We all have that baggage. What would you say to that version of you today?
Okay. To that version, to the version that started, that was lost and had a lot of fear, I would say that you got to believe that change is possible. Um, Life can change, but it starts with changing the way you change your perspective. You got to change your perspective. You got to look at it a little bit different. You know, it can be the same problem, but you maybe look at it 45-degree angle this way because it's different.
Yeah.
Small shifts create big results over time. It's not something that happens overnight. You got to make constant little movements in the right direction to get the result you want. And I'll just say the biggest one I'll say to my version is don't give up on yourself. Because even though you
That's,
can't see the outcome, the breakthrough happens when you least expect it. Like
oh, I love that.
that for sure is something I know I've experienced. It's happened to me. It is happening to me. I did not think I would be able to. I had two clients in my business when we met. I now have about 10. I've grown exponentially from where I was to where I am now. And now I'm trying to figure out how to stop working full time because I need to run my business full
It,
time. So I have I have better problems. We
I
always
love
have
that.
problems. I
You
have
have
better
better
problems.
problems. Yeah. I always say when the business grows so exponentially, I'm like, that's a good problem to have, right? I
Yeah,
always love that. It's a good problem to have
yes,
because, there was a point when you were struggling with money.
yeah.
And today, that's not a problem. And because of that, there were a lot of, again, the fear, like I've gone through financial struggles, right? It's the fear that comes in. You're afraid, you are living like you said, fight or flight mode always. Uh, so yeah, I'm really grateful to you for sharing, everything. But just one last, last question for you.
Sure.
What would you say to the person who is listening tonight, who knows that something in their heart is telling them to move forward, but their mind is already saying, wait, think about it. Maybe do it later. What if this does not work? What if I'm not ready? And all of those what ifs. What would you say to them?
What if it does?
Oh,
It's it's simple. I know it's really simple, and I know everyone has different different things going on in their life. So I can't. Yes, that is a very simple answer, but there's
it's
many
very
what ifs.
powerful.
But there's many what ifs in life. There is a lot of different things we have no control over. But the one thing we have control over is our decision. And it's in a decision that's going to do something for us. That's important. And I think if we can just unite in our own thoughts for ourselves and just be our own superstar fan cheering, and life can get better, will get better. You just have to trust the process.
Oh, I love that, Kieran. That was very powerful. Oh my gosh. I'm getting emotional because, um,
Well,
yeah.
like you say, I don't say thank you to you enough, but we are all we're all part of this, and we find our tribe, and you are my tribe. And thank you for even getting me to this point where I can, sit here and at least if there is someone out there I've touched with, a little bit of what I've said, just know you're not alone. Just know that there's people out there and everyone goes through something. There's just a way forward.
I think that is very powerful. And that is what's important. Thank you so much, Kiran. I really, really
No
appreciate. Thank
worries.
you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Honestly, really thank you because I think you've really helped. You've given faith to people that they're not alone. You know, uh, do not just clap for her, guys. Find yourself inside her story. I think that's what's important. I'm sure there are a lot of points that you resonated what Kiran was saying. And on some of you are exactly where she was at some point in life. You have done the courses, you have read the books, you've listened to podcasts, you've listened to, you've attended seminars, webinars like this, but then you go back to living into your life, your business, your family, your reality, and the old pattern kicks in. But she did not do that. She made a decision and she said, you know what, I'm going to go forward and I'm going to at least explore what this is all about. And so I wanted to say this very clearly. So I want you to make a decision, guys. That's what I want you to do. Thank you, Karen, for joining us.